Kashmir had always been a very big bone of contention between India and Pakistan. In India, it is regarded that Kashmir is an integral part of India, and anybody who talks of autonomy for Kashmir or independence of Kashmir is a traitor. The other way around, in Pakistan the sentiment is that since majority of Kashmiris of Muslims, its logical country should be Pakistan. Now here nobody cares what do Kashmiris think. Kashmir is treated like a piece of real estate, and which builder is going to control it, that is the psychology behind it. To give another analogy, Kashmir is also like a beautiful woman whom two men try to control, and both of them want that woman should become my wife without knowing what particular sentiment that woman has in her heart. When India was formed, Pakistan was formed, at that time there were nearly 560 princely states. Princely states were not directly under British rule. So when the partition process was going on, these princely states were given the option that either you can merge with India, or you can merge with Pakistan, or you can remain independent. They were also guided that while making a decision, please ensure that your geographical proximity should also be considered. Now, the princely states, the princes, the kings, they had their own calculations, but most of them got settled either in India or in Pakistan. There were two states which had very peculiar problem. The first of this was Hyderabad. I hope you all remember that Hyderabad's Nizam was a Muslim, and the majority of people of Hyderabad were Hindus. In this context, India sent its army to Hyderabad and got it merged into India. Just think about it, what happened. I'll tell you the other example. Now, the second was that of Kashmir. There was just a total reversal of situation in Kashmir. Majority of Kashmiris were Muslims, and the king was a Hindu, Raja Hari Singh. But here, Raja Hari Singh said, I want to remain independent. I don't want to merge in India. I don't want to merge in Pakistan. I want to cultivate, I want to promote Kashmir as a Switzerland of South Asia. Now, when he decided like that, that was probably not acceptable to the logic of Muslim communalism, to the logic of Pakistan. They felt that if a Muslim majority state remains outside Pakistan, the process of partition is not complete. That's probably what my thinking. Similarly, we saw a Hindu majority state of Hyderabad was merged into India by sending its army. Pakistan also sent its army in the form of tribals to Kashmir. But here there was a difference. Kashmiri people did not want to merge with Pakistan. At that time in Pakistan, there was a secular democratic movement, a secular democratic party, and the name of the party was National Conference. I am very sure you all remember the name of its founder, leader, tallest giant leader of that party, Sheikh Abdullah. National Conference and Sheikh Abdullah, they opposed the invasion of Pakistani army. They opposed Kashmir's merger into Pakistan. Same way, Maharaja Hari Singh also did not want to merge in Pakistan. So Maharaja Hari Singh sent his emissary to Delhi. Sheikh Abdullah was also in Delhi, and the emissary of Hari Singh requested Pandit Nehru that you please send your army because Kashmir has been invaded. We don't want to become the part of Pakistan, so you please help us out in this particular situation. Now, Indian government, Pandit Nehru, they said, oh, you are an independent state. How can we send our army to your state? If we send our army, people will say that we have invaded you. So we are not going to send any army. They refused. Then Sheikh Abdullah pleaded with the government and especially with Pandit Nehru, saying that we can have some agreement which is acceptable to you, which is acceptable to us, and under that agreement Kashmir will become acceded to India. It will not totally merge. It will accede to India under the clause of autonomy, Article 370. So what was the agreement? Agreement was that Kashmiri Assembly will be all powerful, vested with all the powers, barring 4 ones. Which are these 4 powers which Kashmir Assembly was not to look after? These were defense, communication, currency and external affairs. Kashmir was to have its own Sadr-e Riyasat, the way India had its president. Kashmir was to have its prime minister, the way India was having its prime minister. Kashmir was to have its own constitution, the way India was going to have its constitution. Under this agreement, India sent its army, promising full autonomy to Kashmir Assembly. Now when Indian army went, by that time, Pakistani army had firmly controlled 1/3 of Kashmir. Remaining 2/3 of Kashmir came under the sway of Indian army and acceded to India under the Article 370. At that time, Lord Mountbatten was the Governor General of India. He advised that now, because of the intervention of Pakistan, Kashmir has become an international issue. So let's take the issue to United Nations. Let me remind you that time United Nations was a very good arbiter of international affairs. It was not like today, a impotent body lying in the pocket of United States of America. It was very effective politically in the global scene. So when India took the case to Kashmir, United Nations gave the verdict that plebiscite should take place in Kashmir. And in this plebiscite, Kashmiri people should be given 3 options. Option A, merger with India. Option B, merger with Pakistan. Option C, remaining independent. But the prerequisite for this plebiscite was that Indian and Pakistani army should withdraw from Kashmir and the plebiscite should take place under the supervision of United Nations. Theoretically, it was agreed, but later Pakistan refused to withdraw its army, India refused to withdraw its army, and the plebiscite to know the aspirations of Kashmiri people could not take place. Now after this, so status quo came, 1/3 Kashmir, part of Pakistan, 2/3 Kashmir, part of India, and in Indian part of Kashmir, elections took place, because of which Sheikh Abdullah was elected as the Prime Minister of Kashmir. Now, when Kashmir got the autonomy, the communal forces in India, within Congress party, outside Congress party, they started putting pressure on the government that the clauses of autonomy of Kashmir should be removed and it should be totally merged in India. When this talk began, Sheikh Abdullah got scared and he started meeting Chinese authorities, he started meeting American ambassadors and others. When he was trying to do this, to find a solution to India's aspiration or pressure on Indian government to merge Kashmir in India, at that time when Sheikh Abdullah was meeting these people, he was charged, Sheikh Abdullah was charged that he is anti-national element. He is trying to secede from India. And under this clause, he was imprisoned and put behind the bars for 17 long years. And this was the beginning of process of emotional secessionism, emotional alienation of people of Kashmir, which later on went into become the separatist ideas. And these separatist ideas were very much encouraged by Pakistan. You must be remembering that Pakistan was totally backed up by United States of America. United States that time was planning that since there is communist in South Asia, Indian leadership is bent towards socialism. There is nearby China, there is nearby Russia, and these are communist or socialist. So in order to have its own interference in this region, America was very keen that Kashmir has a particular government which should be compliant to its own needs, its own political needs in the world. That's why it kept backing up Pakistan's effort all through. The result was that slowly this emotional secessionism, this process of alienation started becoming worse and worse, and lot of the people started taking the path of militancy. Now, this separatism was further aggravated by a tampering in the electoral process. The central government of India continuously undertook a thing which is called rigging of the elections. Because of the rigging of the elections, a true representative Kashmiri government could not be formed, and people's alienation started becoming worse by the day. In 1980s, we have seen that Al-Qaeda, after Al-Qaeda defeated the Russian armies, a section of Al-Qaeda also started entering Kashmir for its own jihad in quotes. This started communalizing the issue. So far, it was just an issue of Kashmiri autonomy. I must tell you, Kashmir's culture is not either Hindu or Muslim. This culture is called Kashmiriyat, which is a synthesis of Vedantic teachings, teachings of Buddhism, and teachings of Sufi religion. This is a very beautiful synthesis of three great traditions of India. That's what Kashmiriyat is. But from 1980s, once the problem became worse off, once the Al-Qaeda elements started entering, once the Pakistani trained militants started coming more in number, this process of movement for Kashmiriyat, movement for autonomy started getting communalized. And because of this communalization, Kashmiri Pandits were harassed, Kashmiri Pandits were targeted, and because of their own dissatisfaction and because of the negative intervention from the governor Jagmohan, nearly 3.5 lakhs Pandits had to leave the valley, and even today they are living in a very wretched situations in different refugee camps. But it is not only the Kashmiri Pandits who had to leave the Kashmir valley. There is a very large number of Muslims also who suffered the militancy, and they also left the Kashmiri valley. Kashmir had three types of violence. One is a local indigenous violence because of dissatisfaction. Second is a violence which came because of the Pakistani trained militants, because of the Al-Qaeda. And the third type of violence is the one because of the Indian army entering into Kashmir. I hope you all know that armies are meant to fight against the enemies. And if army is there in a particular area for a long time, what will happen to the democratic conditions? What will happen to the people's satisfaction, dissatisfaction? And that went on compounding the Kashmir issue. On the top of it, every communal element started imposing that, well, Kashmir should be merged into Pakistan or Kashmir should be merged into India. And somehow the best part happened in 2004 elections. These were the elections in which no tampering, no poll rigging was done, because of which the nature of representative was fairly democratic, because of which the situation in Kashmir started improving. But unfortunately, the BJP appointed Governor B.K. Sinha, once he took charge, he started playing communal politics. The first thing which he did was related to Amarnath Shrine. Let me tell you, Amarnath Shrine was discovered by a Muslim shepherd belonging to Malik family, and the Amarnath Yatra was being managed by the local Muslims, guides, tourists, and the local traders. In 2005, a legislation was brought transferring all this management of the local yatra to the shrine board, which was to be under the control of the government. Later, by manipulation, this governor also succeeded in getting the land of forests transferred to the shrine board. Now, transferring a forest land to anybody else is totally illegal and against the constitutional values. But somehow this was manipulated, and once this came to be known, there was a great amount of resentment in the Kashmir Valley. At the same time, in Jammu, the communal forces intensified their politics, because of which the blockade of Kashmir Valley took place in an effective manner, because of which essential supplies were not reaching, and the products of Kashmir Valley, the fruits, were rotting in the valley. Because of these two things, again, very negative sentiments came up calling for independence of Kashmir. Now, as such, the situation was improving. But see again how the Shrine Board under the management of B.K. Sinha, who is a pro-BJP person, because of him, how he has spoiled the things again in Kashmir is very much clear to us.